Hello, and welcome to my channel once again. This is episode 200 and, what was that? 237 of my Cat Vibes series, and, it's me, CatCorelli. Today we're painting a landscape, and, I'm deliberately going to paint it in a very painterly and very loose fashion. In part, this is because I spent so much time painting my previous painting, which was into the Warkanum. Do you remember that naked lady trying to get out through the door? Well, yes, that one. So while I was painting that one, and as I was starting to feel that I'm clearly overworking it, I thought about something, and I think it's of relevance because it's a pretty interesting observation, I think. And I think other painters who perhaps might have gone through something like this would be able to relate. So I was observing in myself, within myself, a year ago when I was doing some graphic art, some ink art, ball pen art, something like that. I was getting so hung up on the nitty-gritty and the little tiny detail. And it was all so uptight. All of that art. If any of you remember what I was drawing a year ago, this is something that I started doing, way back when I was a kid. I would draw all of these highly detailed drawings. And the reason for that was because my father would never encourage me. Anything that I would draw and anything that I would paint was always not good enough. And as I was analyzing this, I was thinking, well, this propensity to go into the little, small, tiny details, this is not really who I am. This is not really what I want. This is really not what I want to express. This is not what I want to channel through my art. Be that drawing or be that painting. That's just not me. What it is this is a consequence of poor parenting. This is a consequence of, having your parent not being able to encourage you to do something, not being able to constructively criticize you and give you the tools and the mindset to progress. That's what it is. And once I realized this, it's almost like I started to deliberately and consciously root out these tendencies, because I realized that this propensity to try to do everything perfect, to try to go into all those little small tiny details, this is not because I really want this. This is some kind of a defensive reaction. Me trying to be all perfectionist. Me trying to show how good I am. Well, not nowadays, of course. Nowadays I don't care that much. I mean, well, some people like my art, some people don't like my art. But it started way back when I was a kid. When I was a kid, and I was probably trying to appease my father, and I was trying to get some praise from him, and I still failed at that, and I would never get any praise at all. No matter what I did, no matter how hard I tried, how much detail did I put in my work, it didn't matter. Was it watercolors? Was it pencil drawings? Was it ink? Was it gouache? He didn't care. Regardless of all my efforts, nothing was ever good for him. And always, in his view, everything was wrong. Something was wrong with my composition. Something was wrong with my with the proportions, or with something else, or with the lighting, or with whatever. Everything was wrong. And he wasn't a professional painter, mind you. But when I was a kid, apparently he was an authority figure to me. So that impacted me. So actually, why am I telling you all of this story? This is, by no means am I trying to, not for the sake of complaining about something that happened a long while ago. No, but rather as you know, it was something that I was thinking about, and uh, perhaps someone needs to hear this. I guess someone somewhere needs to hear this. And if you are one of those people who is hung up on all the little things while missing the big picture, and you feel that this is not really who you are, that you don't really express yourself, you should go back in your mind to your childhood and work through those things and think what happened and what could have precipitated such a response in adulthood. Once I've established this, you know, I've developed a conscious approach to stuff like this. Yeah, sure enough, sometimes I want my paintings or my drawings to be more detailed. That's fine, you know. But it becomes a problem when this tendency gets so overwhelming. It becomes a burden. It stifles the creative process. It stifles creativity itself. It stifles new ideas from showing up. And when those ideas show up, you kind of put them against this toxic mindset of unreachable perfection. You know, something you project in your mind and you're like, well, it should be perfect. It should be, you know, like this and like that and like that. And no, it is not supposed to. It is not supposed to. It's the antithesis of true creativity. I mean, when you are just being creative, you just catch the idea, you go with it, and wherever the idea brings you, you're just trying to elaborate on that, and you're trying to bring it to fruition to the best of your ability. No, you're not. I think you should not be trying to strangulate that idea, but that's what this tendency for uptight perfection, that's what it does. It sucks out the air and the very lifeblood out of creativity. That's what I've discovered, and this is why I'm saying this today. This is why I'm sharing this on this episode, and this is why I'm painting what I'm painting here. I'm just allowing myself to go back to those days when I was a little kid, and when I just wanted to paint the way I wanted to paint. I needed some encouragement, and I'm giving this encouragement to myself today, you know, to my child within, me becoming the parent to my child within, working through that issue, moving on, and learning from this experience. I think this is really, really important, and I think this is something that someone somewhere perhaps needs to hear, because I do see indeed that there are people who, I don't know, you know what, I'll be honest, maybe this is the impressionist in me, maybe this is just the impressionist in me, but sometimes I'm looking at, you know, at all those countless Instagram reels, you know, and there are so many talented people, so many people who put so much work into what they're doing, some really awesome artists out there. And sometimes I can't help but look at all of this art through the lens of psychoanalysis. So sometimes I see people who do hyperrealism, and I can't help but wonder why an artist would want to commit to something like this. Yes, I get it. On one hand, this is its own genre. All right, this is its own genre, and it's spectacular. You know, I have enormous respect for artists who are doing this kind of work. I don't mean to put anybody down. I'm not saying that this is, you know, any less of art, of an art form. No, it isn't. It's awesome. But sometimes I think I catch a vibe from some artists when I'm looking at some artwork. I catch this vibe that perhaps this person is so into this hyper-realism, high-resolution stuff, this kind of painting, because there might be underlying issues. There might have been something, like in my case, because I could have become one of these artists, like hyper-realist, you know, artists, hyper-realism artists. I find it utterly boring, and that's why I kind of don't see a reason to go there. in my opinion, right? From my point of view. But some people go and they do that. And God bless them. From the bottom of my heart, God bless them. If that puts, food on their table and they're passionate about this, God bless them. All I'm saying is that sometimes I spot something, and it's hard to explain, but I think that sometimes I see kind of fellow souls who might have went through something like this. Perhaps their art teacher, their, art professor at school was dismissive or arrogant or never encouraged them. And they got stuck in this loop of trying to prove to someone that you can do ideal work, that you can deliver an ideal painting. And all I'm saying that, if it works for someone, but sometimes it doesn't work. And I'm one of those people for whom it doesn't work. Not because I can't, it's just that it kind of feeds this old childhood trauma. This is the trauma within me that forced me. I'm not allowing that to force me to do anything nowadays, but a while ago, even like 10 years ago, when I was like hung up on all of that nitty-gritty, like ideal kind of drawing with all those details and all this and that and blah blah blah, this was not really that I was so infatuated with this idea. No, it's like I was just trying to be the perfect artist, and I almost wasn't able to paint or draw loosely, which was a horrible constraint. In addition to a lot of other things that weren't exactly panning out my way in life, this was tough, and it felt like a chokehold. So you see what I'm doing here? I'm just painting a landscape. I'm using a reference photo. I've taken this reference photo in the backyard, so, it's my photo. I know that location anyways. I'm kind of using it for a very loose reference, and I'm just having fun. And I'm thoroughly enjoying this. Granted, I'm biased. As I said, I'm an impressionist at heart. I love loose, expressive painting. I really love it. Same as I love emotional music, be that classical music, or be that, contemporary music, be that, metal music or something. My tastes, guys, right? I have music here on this channel, and you're listening to this music, so you know that I'm not really a fan of kind of constrained music. That's not really about me. I love me some good headbanging. I love me some lush melodies, some dramatic melodies, some build-ups and all that kind of stuff. Painting to me is that same thing. It should be expressive. But, again, not that I want to rag on anybody. Don't want to rag on nobody. There's a lot of art forms out there, and people enjoy them. Artists who enjoy those art forms, and then there are viewers and buyers who enjoy, collectors who enjoy these art forms. Fine, wonderful. But just in my personal view, in my personal opinion, I gotta say that I don't see much utility in trying to copy reality in a hyper-precise way. I don't see much utility for it, because in my mind I'm thinking, well, why do all of that work if you can just use a really expensive camera, for example, right? And you can take professional pictures, right? A photograph, which even if you enlarge it, for like a billboard or something, it's gonna be very high resolution, right? I mean, modern technology allows for it. So in my mind, I'm thinking, why waste all of that time trying to copy it in a hyper-realistic fashion? Why? What's the point? I don't see much utility in it. I see much more utility in just loosely painting things and painting the feeling about something. Trying to capture a vibe, something that you can't photograph. Well, maybe you can if you're a photo artist, right? But painting is a different thing altogether. I think painting should be quite loose. Quite loose. Well, it should be definitely more loose than a photograph. That's all I'm saying. Hyperrealism is just, I guess, something that I don't quite understand. Maybe I don't understand. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. Yes, it's very impressive. When someone can do stuff like this, it's very impressive. But does it touch me really emotionally? No, it doesn't. I love a whole variety of artists, really. But, you know, I love them for that's something that they capture, the motion, the vibe, the color, all of these things, and the exaggerations and the imperfections of their brushwork and their composition. Well, I guess this is where I'm supposed to wrap up this episode. I just went on talking and talking and talking, and now it's all of a sudden just, you know, half a minute left. Anyways, guys, thank you very much. Here, this is October poem number 1. You see how loose this painting is, and it's a small one, by the way. Currently, I'm working on the 3rd poem, October poem. Anyways, guys, I love you all. Thank you very much for being on my channel. I appreciate your wonderful comments. I love you, and you will hear me or see me on the next episode. Meow!